G'day everybody, today on Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be talking about Mike Morhaime apologizing, troll character models possibly on the way, but the Draenai, they've already landed, lore of the lords, and much more on this week's Geeks of Azeroth. Alright, welcome back to the show, everybody. My name's Tarley, and with me I've got Tom and Jake. Jake is back this week, but he is off on a far location, off to visit his old high school friends. How's it going, Jake?
Correct. I am up in Oregon for a good old high school reunion. But yeah, as far as WoW goes, let's see. Haven't played too much this week because I have this weekend off. I didn't have my regular days off during the week. I've just been working all day, every day. But I wasn't here last week for the show, and I did play that week up to it. I'm trying to finally bang away on the epic cloak quest, and so I was running some LFR. I have, I think, about half of the Secrets of the Empire I need, and then when I get back from being out of town, I will see if I can get the rest of those secrets.
Nice, nice. What about you, Tom? How's your week in Warcraft?
It's probably not as exciting. I think it's interesting that everyone seems to be trying to do this quest now that the buff's gone. It just seems, once the buff was gone, everyone was like, actually, I probably should do it, to be honest.
It was a motivator.
It was. Well, that's the thing. Maybe it might be coming back. We'll talk about that in a sec. But in regards to what I've been up to, not a lot, to be honest. Just trying to tank. Two ends of sort of my raiding experience this week. One is, I beg the question, why do I need 550 eye level gear to flex? It seems I can't. No one will let me join a flex group unless I've got 550 eye level. And lo and behold, when I lied about it to get into a group with an alt, I checked the eye level using Ask Mr. Robot of the guy who was doing all the invites, and he was something like 526.
That's something you see all the time, people with low eye levels making someone carry them.
It was absolutely disgusting. But on the other hand, when I was in LFR tanking away, it didn't affect me so much, but I probably saw one of the harshest insults I've seen in LFR for a long time, and it was aimed at a DPS DK, I think. And what they said was this. It was after we'd just done the Shaman bosses on the Gates of Retribution, and someone said, geez, look at these numbers. Anyone would think the nerf had already happened. And I just sat there and thought,
that's a great insult. That's great.
It was brilliant, but
very clever.
I did feel a little bit of a tang there. But we made it through to the end, so we obviously were all right at raid. But apart from that, not a lot else.
Yeah, I have finally managed to get my legendary cloak on my monk, so that would make 3 cloaks that I own. Hey, no life here. That has made healing significantly better for our group anyway. No one's dying anymore now that I can fully heal people.
Nice one.
But other than that, yeah, I haven't had too much exciting. Our raid leader was out this week, so we only raided one night, so got about halfway through Siege and didn't really continue. But yeah, pretty uneventful week for me as well. So we'll move on to our first discussion topic. Mike Morhaime apologizes for the lack of diversity in Blizzard games. This is hot off the heels of our episode last week where we were talking about diversity in video games. I think he watched our show.
Obviously.
Of course, when I wasn't there.
Right.
That's when Mike decided just to slip in and go, I wonder what these two are actually talking about.
Right.
But he has pretty much addressed exactly what we were talking about last week, and it was a very spontaneous topic, wasn't it,
right.
Tarley? We just stumbled, if anything, onto women in gaming, and particularly women in Warlords, and literally, what, 4 days later, something like that?
Right,
Mike
yeah, I mean,
Morhaime announced it.
we kind of were just talking about, more like we were initially talking about the whole the tournament thing, the separating men and women in the video
Yeah, that
game
was
tournaments.
ridiculous.
And now, it comes up to this with Mike Morhaime apologizing about the diversity. He didn't really say specifically what they were talking about. He was just more kind of at a company level, we recognize this as an issue. I can pull it up here on the screen right here. You can see his little tweet or notation that he had here. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think they're going to move into, I guess, going forward here, as he said? How are they going to change?
I just think the fact that they're saying that they're kind of more conscious of it now, they're paying more attention to it, I think they'll stop and think about things more. Like when they bring in a new character, they're like, wait, actually, no, this character could, we haven't really made this character yet. They could be female. Or, hey, we should bring these female characters we already have along. Because I don't think they were ever, like, purposefully or maliciously not including females.
Ubisoft.
It's just the fact that... yeah, well, it's just the fact that most of them are guys, and so their default is going to be male characters. That's what they're going to default to making and stuff. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. That's just how it is. But now that they're paying more attention to it, I think it's just going to be good. They may stumble along the way. They may bring in a female character, and then there'll be an uproar. Oh, this female character is sexist or whatever. But the fact that they're listening, that means if that did happen, they'd probably go in and change it and be like, okay, yeah, well, where we're at, let us fix it. I think it's a good thing all around.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom?
Pretty much exactly the same thing. I mean, WoW has had some strong characters, or even back in vanilla, was Onyxia going under the guy is Lady Katrina or something like that? And I mean, some of the plots around early vanilla content and revamped vanilla content, you have the Van Cleef's daughter as well. So you have these sort of female characters, but I feel they've, if anything, been really underdeveloped in the past.
Yeah.
Male characters, I should say, have always had the greatest depth. Everyone, through every expansion, you've had Illidan. Lady Vash wasn't so much, but Kale Sunstrider.
Right. Yeah. We've yet to see a big female villain besides Onyxia, but she wasn't ever really,
exactly.
brought to life.
Jade is probably the only example of someone who's probably had enough depth, but my argument was he didn't go far enough. She's not a villain, exactly.
Right. I mean, we had Lich King's dragon as well. I forget her name all the time, but again, she wasn't really gone into depth as a character. I'd like to see Lady Vash come as the leading enemy, maybe.
And the Dark Below happens.
Right.
Then
the Dark Below has actually come out as a...
Yep.
And
yes.
That has finally been revealed what that is, and it's an expansion for Destiny.
Yeah, I saw that.
Since Activision also owns, or they're doing that game, that's where that trademark comes from. Everybody can stop saying the Dark Below is for World of Warcraft. It is for Destiny.
Do you think they named it that just because everyone was talking about it so much they thought, marketing could probably use this? It's been talked about half already, so we might as well use it.
Probably.
It'll get us extra attention.
But what, Tarley, what do you think about, obviously, the situation with Mike Morhaime, and also, what do you both think about how Blizzard's going to take this moving forward? Because obviously Blizzard has other franchises which obviously have this balance issue. With StarCraft, perhaps it's a little bit different because there have been some very strong female antagonists, but maybe not so much with Diablo. I'm not sure.
Well, we had Leah, I really think this comes up to an issue. I could get some hate for saying this, but I think there's just a group of people that will never be happy. There's always a group of people that are never going to be happy with a certain thing going on in anything. So,
like I said, they're gonna be like, okay, let's do this, and then they'll make female characters, and you'll have the group of people that thinks they're not good enough female characters. I mean, no matter what, there are going to be people that are upset, but I think the fact that they're trying, they're going to try to do their best.
And it's like we've said, there have been strong female protagonists throughout all of their games I have seen, and in Diablo there have been I can't remember their name specifically, but female antagonists as well in Diablo, and Kerrigan, obviously a very big role in StarCraft. So
I mean, basically, the two biggest characters in StarCraft are Jim Raynor and Kerrigan.
Right. So,
That's it.
so it's an interesting argument. You know, I don't. It's good that Blizzard said they're working on diversity, but at the same time, they don't need to work on it as much as some other companies out there do.
Of course.
Yeah.
We're not naming names. We're not naming names.
But yeah, I mean, it's still good. It's still good that Blizzard recognizes it. So.
Yeah, because I mean, it could definitely use it. You know, like you said, they do have some, but it is vastly outweighed by their male characters.
All right, so moving on, unless anyone has anything else to say on the that topic there. We've all been wanting to see new character models coming out. Me personally, Blood Elves, but it looks like Jake, aka Zul, is getting his wish here soon, as a tweet has come forward about the troll character models. Chris Robinson has put to the Twitter saying they will be coming up soon. Had to model mouth in a flat line, then use animation posing to form lips around tusks, showing them. So I guess, you know, there's a bit of complication there as far as animating a troll in their new multi-polygon animation style. But this is good news. Good news. We're gonna see them soon. You know, maybe we'll just never see Blood Elves. But yeah.
Say on the troll thing though, and obviously Zul can comment on this. Someone has been saying, well, if you want sort of an early preview, you should be looking to sort of the Vol'jin.
Vol'jin is a cataclysm model. So he has a movable jaw, but that's it. The rest of his face does not move like the other new models do.
True.
What about, there's a female troll boss though? Is it the one from early Throne of Thunder content or something like that? Someone put
those were updated skins put on a Night Elf skeleton. Like again, those are just mishmashed.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like they do
never
have,
mind, then.
you know, they have better looking trolls that they have made for stuff like that, but not on the level of the truly updated models that they're doing now.
Yeah. and that raises a question. What I can't really imagine what Blood Elves are going to look like, because they're the fair-skinned, very, you know, straight-faced. How much can they improve on that model from what they already look like?
I'd say, like, if you look at the Draenai, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, there isn't a huge change. You're just like, you know what, it looks a little better. They have more animations. It'll be the same for the Blood Elves. I think you might see, because you know some of the faces, they have like the lines on their faces from stuff, their expressions and everything. I think stuff like that will be more distinct. You'll have more distinct, like maybe where their cheekbones are, and just then they'll have more ability to actually make expressions and everything, which will really change how they look.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can move on from that and talk about the fact that they have released an art craft on the male Draenei model this week. We can see this right here. He looks much buffer. Like, you can see these big old veins running down his arms. And
that looks unhealthy.
Instead of just being big, he's now big and ripped.
Yeah. I find this face that he's making, like where he's like looking up all... very interesting, you know.
Content with himself.
Yeah, and they have a good backside of him as well. You know, you get to see his tail. His tail's very detailed, and he looks very angry here. But yeah, you know, it's following the trend of what we're seeing. You know, much more detailed, much awesome facial expressions that we're seeing.
Have you seen the one complaint people are having about it?
I have not.
The face tentacles. They say they don't look like, they look like they were just shoved on there. They don't actually look like a part of the face.
Yeah.
If you look, they're a different color. They're lighter.
Yeah,
and they do look like they're just attached. Like they don't have that look where they would kind of like broaden out as they got to the face. You know, like they're attached to it. They look like they're just shoved on there.
You know, maybe this is a thing for now, maybe. But if you really look at it, they actually look like it's a piece of the old model.
Yes, it does.
Literally,
and they've said that these art crafts aren't finished.
Right.
So
that's what I'm hoping, because it literally, if you were to just like copy paste these tentacles over here to the ones over here, it's like the exact same thing, just reshaded.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It might look better
because they don't look that great. That's the one thing that doesn't look good.
So hopefully Blizzard will be on top of that. Hopefully. But yeah, I mean, otherwise though, I think it's a great looking model. You know, just as the rest of them
Yeah,
have been, very
sure.
detailed. Excited again. Don't have beta access, but I'm very excited. Hopefully to get in there. If not, when it comes out, to play around with the new models. Has
That's
it
the
been
only thing I'm going to do is create characters.
has it been said whether the new models are coming with 6.0 or are they gonna drop with Warlords?
I don't think they've said specifically one way or the other.
It,
That would be pretty amazingly cool if they did, but
it
they might need the
seems to
time.
me like something that'll actually come with 6.0. If but I don't. I guess I can't say for sure.
I would think the other way, actually. I think the way I think if anything, that they've advertised it will come with the new expansion, and I think if anything, the pressure, like we've just talked about, the tentacles not being just right, will lead them to say, well, we'll leave it then, and we'll put them in the expansion. But maybe we might see one or two of them. They might push it on some of the. I think it'd be really cool to put it on some of the less used races.
Right. Yeah.
To see how that promotes gameplay.
Female troll warriors.
Exactly. You know, people can just play around with the character models for maybe, you know, a month, and then
It should just be trolls and gnomes.
Well, and when you think about it, we do have we've got at least probably 2 more months of beta, I would say, before 6.0 comes out. At least.
Yeah, at least.
You know, and a lot of people are aiming towards that October release date now, so if the, you know, speculating that's true, you know, mid to late October, we could have 2 to 2.5 more months of beta before we see 6.0. But you know, I think since it is like a system change, I could see it dropping with 6.0 potentially.
Potentially.
You know, just with all the other system changes, you know, because in the past they'll have all the system changes and then just the content be what comes with the expansion. So I don't know.
That could work. That could work, actually.
Because and you think of how they like to. I think they're going to release it the same way they released Pandaria, and by basically just with a flip of a switch, we suddenly had a quest, and then we were going. If any of you played at midnight when the game launched, it was very seamless. And if they had to introduce like character models or something like that as the game launches, that might be not as quick of a boom, you're in the game kind of a thing.
Very true. If they want to do that.
I think that's why they
go through
their
the portal
systems
now.
there. Yeah.
That's it. And also, it's unlike any other style of content because it's not expansion limited. This affects you even if you create a new character at level 1 and level him up.
That's true, though.
Or through everything. So I guess in a sense, it's a revamp that affects all content, so it should be made available.
But yeah, same with like
content,
with Cataclysm. You know, they changed all of Azeroth with Cataclysm, which was all available at the pre-patch. All of, you know, redone Ogrimmar, redone, you know, all the zones. They were available pre-patch.
You've converted me, Tarley. I will say 6.0.
They've got to be working their butts off then.
Yeah, get those tentacles, boys.
And keep in mind, everybody, that Blizzard is working their butts off. They have so many people working on World of Warcraft right now. They're not ignoring your pleas for new tentacles on the Draenei models.
Can I add one thing as well? If you if anyone listening, of course, if you look up images, if you type in troll character models, currently into Google Images, the vast majority of the photos are pictures of the early vanilla loading screen where you chose your race, and it's the early troll, and most of the captions say "kill me." So I think the troll has had its day. It really has to come soon.
Yeah.
It really has to come soon.
I mean,
I love trolls.
We are what are we missing? But I mean, we got troll and blood elf completely. But are there any that we're missing, like just a male or just a female model? Now that we have the male Draenei, I think it's just trolls and blood elves at this point. If I am remembering,
I mean,
correctly.
they haven't done art crafts for all of
Right,
them, but they've shown them here and there.
Yeah, we've seen the male undead, but
just
not an
having
art
a
craft for
look.
them.
Have they shown much of female Tauren?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what we're missing. Female Tauren. We have not
Female
seen
Tauren, yeah.
Have not seen that yet.
Male, female, dead. We've got orcs.
Something interesting on
Male night elves.
Right.
Male
right,
night elves. Yes. Yep. Male night elves, female Tauren, trolls and blood elves completely.
Yep.
But if you go to Wowhead, you can, load up your character from the armory. So it'll show you your character with your gear. And if it's one of the ones that has the new models out, you can switch to see what your character will look like in the new model.
And that's very fun. Wowhead has that great 3D viewer where you can play around with the new armor on like the race of your choice, except for Blood Elves and Trolls right now. But
yeah, which all my characters are trolls. So I was like, this is a cool feature that has no use to me.
Right. When are we gonna get updated Pandaren models, guys? That's fun.
They don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore.
Pandaren are banned from leaving Pandaria.
Exactly.
You go to run through the dark portal and you just bounce off and said, "You're sorry, you can't enter."
You're too bouncy.
We did mess up their homeland a little bit, so they wouldn't be justified in staying.
All right, so we can move on from that. We've got new battle pet models. They have been introduced. Me personally, I never really got into the battle pets. Did you guys?
I tried.
The main time that I did actually like a small amount of battle pet stuff was when there was the glitch and you got tons of XP from it.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. You could just be right outside Orgrimmar.
That was before. It was like right when it first happened, before it kind of started being talked about. Like, oh wait, look what's going on. I just went out and I was like, I haven't done really battle pet stuff. Let's try it out. Why did I just get 2 levels?
What we're seeing right here,
I was
though.
like, what?
We're seeing like this. It looks like a super Justicari paladin tank holding 2 shields. I love it. Like
yes,
it looks
like
awesome.
I do like collecting the pets. Like I don't battle them often, but I have quite a collection of them. And this one,
yeah.
I mean the bird is interesting too, but this
it's just another bird.
This tank thing. I think it's a Draenei if you look at the hooves of it.
Yeah, it says Draenei Micro Defender.
Right. I want that on my battle pet team. Like that will actually have me play because I just want that thing beating the crap out of people.
I think we want it as an armor set.
Yeah,
that's right.
Paladin armor set.
Yeah,
unique to Draenei. You'll have everyone.
Instead of swords, you're dual wielding shields.
Oh.
I want to dual wield shields so bad. It'd be so cool.
Oh.
But yeah, that is probably one of the most. I mean, I have to say, the most badass looking pets I have seen in the game so far. I like it. I'm impressed.
Okay, so speaking of dual wielding shields, you guys briefly mentioned. I think last week you guys briefly mentioned the idea of having a 4th spec at some point for some classes.
Yeah.
What if they made a tank rogue that dual wields bucklers?
Okay. Wow.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
A tank rogue that duels bucklers. You know when they're trying to plan mythic encounters around a set group construction, I don't think tank rogues are going to be the best ingredient for those. That's horrible. And what, you build up so much aggro and then vanish?
And then your entire group gets
and then the boss spends time looking for the vanished thing. It's a whole new mechanic introduced into the game.
A big question mark goes above their head and the Metal Gear Solid sound effect. And they look around.
Blizzard, make it a thing, please.
I want it.
Just undo every mechanic you've ever held on to. Just make this happen.
Make this happen, please.
Saying on the battle pet though, a lot of people are saying that it's going to go straight to the shop.
Oh yeah, it does look like it's one of those fancy ones, but the fact that it's being previewed now, though, would you really think that one of their previewed items?
Well, it's not really previewed. It was data mined, right?
Data mined, right? Yeah. Do you think it's data mined items going to the shop?
Have they data mined shop items before? They have, haven't they?
They have when they're data mining, stuff on the PTR. But as far as beta items go, we've seen. I mean, I guess we can't tell really.
I don't know. I mean, it fits being a Draenei thing. It fits with being one that you'd be able to just get since we're going to Draenor. I mean.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth bringing this slightly ahead of the discussion, but obviously the core hound mount got data mined as well. So, I mean, do you think that's going to go to the shop?
It's going to be a store.
Again, I hope not. So I guess we can just jump to that topic real fast since we're on here. Where is it?
Right.
Have they had any
But yeah,
Have they had any store mounts that were not also flying mounts?
no,
Okay,
they
so
have
that
not.
would kind of hint that it might not be.
But yeah, the aside from these pets being announced or leaked, there has been leaked images of a core hound mount, which I'm pulling up right here for you guys.
I would. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go ahead. Patrick.
I mean, it looks awesome. It has been data mined. There's been no official like this mount coming to the game, coming to the Blizzard store or whatever. So I would hope it's something that you earn from like an achievement or a quest line or something. I would love to see mounts come back to it. Like you have to. I don't know. I'd like to see a new, interesting way of earning mounts than other just rep grinding or achievement-based mounts.
Completely random drop.
Yeah, 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 I mean, because we have those rare mobs out in the world now that are, have their mechanics and stuff that people have been talking about. That would be cool if they were rare drops off of those. Kind of like Elegon. Is this not Elegon?
But maybe not as
Hulan.
rare as the other mount drops have been.
Right.
Interesting though about the core hound mount is that someone said in a comment on Wowhead, I think it was, and they said the thing is core hounds aren't native to Draenor, so it makes much more sense to have this as an item linked to the pre-release event.
True. Yeah.
As the Iron Horde comes through the portal.
So I think this will be linked to pre-release events because it makes much more sense. But then again, how do you do that? Where can you maybe Blackrock Spire? Maybe have it in there because there's a core hound in there somewhere, isn't there?
Oh yeah, and Ubers. Yeah.
Have it as a rare release or something.
Speaking of which,
Ubbers for those who take pronunciation.
I call it Ubers. It's more entertaining. We don't have this on our agenda here to talk about, but video has come out this week. People have been able to play Ubbers, whichever you prefer to call it, the redone. Have you guys looked into that at all?
I have not.
Briefly, I saw the first half of the instance.
It looks very fun. Looks like it's been updated well into how Blizzard has revamped the other dungeons that they have done. But it looks like they're really keeping the spirit of this one. Like I was kind of disappointed with how Shulamans. How do you say that?
Oh yeah.
I liked the original version of that one better, and I still do because it felt more like you could get lost in it easier.
Yeah, no, I know what
Well,
you
I think
mean.
one of the things is they don't want people getting lost in instances anymore.
I guess that's true, but
Wailing Caverns.
yes.
Gosh, yeah, I remember old. Oh my gosh.
Jump over the gaps, people.
But what we're seeing here with Ubbers is that actually I really felt a connection to the old one. Like they're kind of keeping that spirit there. Leroy Jenkins.
Yep.
They found him in there.
Yeah.
He's actually there's a dead NPC
Yep.
called Leroy Jenkins in there.
It's wonderful.
It's awesome. I love it.
What was the
Leroy.
other one they were redoing, by the way? I can't remember.
The
One of the temples, wasn't it? It wasn't Sunken Temple, was it? Or
it was water. It was one of the water ones. There's the water temple from Ocarina of Time.
Oh, right. They're going back into Zelda, redoing the temple. So that'll be good. If you plug in your N64, there'll be a new patch. Just plug it into the internet and you'll get to redo that. Revamp Blizzard stuff.
something tells me the graphics won't be as good.
Yeah, just a little behind. No, what is that? That temple. It's on the coast of Ashran, right?
Ashran.
Ashran?
I mean, no, not
Ashara.
Yeah. There we go.
I think I know exactly which.
What's it called? It has the big, like Hydra boss at the end, right?
There are so many listeners who are just screaming out the answer now.
Yeah.
We just don't know. We just don't know.
Sorry,
Hydra boss.
we are. I'm just gonna pull up Warcraft here. Open up the game and look for
Gonna
myself.
have to. This is a test. Didn't I have to sit an exam?
All right.
There's the big turtle. I don't know.
Let's just drop it. Moving on.
We'll move on.
So we've seen this. Anything else, back on Battle Pets, we kind of spiraled off there on the Core Hound and stuff. But anything else you guys want to add to the Battle Pet conversation?
I guess very briefly, guys, in a sentence, how much do you think Battle Pets will play in Warlords? Because obviously I think it phased out a bit in Pandaria, a little bit.
And they're not updating the level cap for them, so...
No.
I think it'll just kind of stay in the background, like, I don't think Blizzard ever intended it to be like this huge thing that everyone's doing. I think it's just kind of this side activity that if you want to, here it is, you can do it.
And
so
they'll keep adding new ones.
Keep adding new pets for you to level, because raising the level cap and adding new pets is just increasing more and more stuff for you to do. Giving you new level 1 pets, that's just a whole nother grind for you to do anyway, so.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on. This week, Heart of the Valorous returned previously, like I think it was last weekend or so, but it may be up this weekend as well. But yeah, we're seeing this come back, but still no raise in the Valor cap. Does this mean we could see Gaze of the Black Prince make a return?
I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of cycle through them at this point. Kind of
Uh,
go back and forth every couple weeks.
yeah. With
It's
that,
the only reason. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, with that though, we did have a tweet. People have been asking, could we see a raise in the Valor cap? And they responded with saying that it is necessary. They have their eyes on it here, but Bashiok responded saying he agrees the cap to increase the buff would be cool, but increasing the Valor cap is non-trivial. Would require a client-side patch. So we could be seeing this, with one of our Tuesday maintenances. I don't know. Would you guys like to see that?
I think it would be good. I mean, they're completely redoing the whole Valor system with Warlords anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So why not, for now, just throw Valor at us like it's going out of style?
Right. Well, like it is going out of style.
Exactly.
Yeah. As I'm aware, what is Valor going to be used for in Draenor again? I mean, I know Justice points are pretty much moot. They're they're long
Useless. No,
I'm
it's
trying to remember what they've said about it.
they.
I can't remember.
Well, I remember briefly them saying about how they're not going to be because of how the difficulty tiers between heroic instances or instances in general and raids are sort of intermingling now.
Mm-hmm.
That they that Valor points won't be as crucial.
Right. Yeah.
Because effectively you could literally just progress your way naturally as opposed to having to turn to
You can
Valor.
go straight from heroic geared dungeons into normal mode raiding.
Yes.
Which is flex now, but
Yes.
normal heroic mythic. Yeah. But yeah.
Just go straight to heroic. Just ding 100 and just go straight into heroic. Just see how it works.
Yeah.
See what happens.
That always brings me back. I back to the discussion of people doing LFR. Are you guys going to be doing LFR at all? Do you think in Warlords of Draenor? Because I'm going to be avoiding it now like the plague, since there's no tier.
I probably
No need for
will,
Valor.
because it's hard for me to set aside a night where I can commit to otherwise raiding. But I mean, with everything being flex, I can just jump into my guild. I
with
guess,
the
nights I
group
have free.
finder, the group finder tool, being introduced to the game, it's like that creates it very easily to form a group and go do certain content as well.
Yeah.
Also, with the raids being at least what we've seen from I forget the name of it. The one raid that we've seen so far, it's very wing based, or not wing based, but like omnidirectional.
Oh yeah, the foundry place.
Yeah,
Oh,
Blackrock Foundry. It's more like old style raids where you can pick and choose which way you're going to go, and there's going to be attunements.
Yes, which I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just makes. I think people want that style of, earned progression as opposed to what it is now. We're probably at the far end of the other spectrum where you could just turn 90, go to the Timeless R, and you probably can get enough gear to go straight into Siege.
Siege LFR, yeah.
And I think people don't like this idea that. I think people prefer the idea that you earn your place, not too much. Like don't make it too difficult. But when Molten Core achievements existed,
Mhm.
and yeah, they weren't the greatest thing ever, but at least you knew when people were in those instances that they worked hard at their character. And I
Mhm.
think that's the idea Blizzard wants to bring back, is people have to actually work
Yeah.
for the game as much as play it.
Yep. So like Valor being in the game like kind of just made it easy. You can just go do a few heroic scenarios and then have some Valor, buy some gear. Um, with the new system, we're not quite sure what Valor is going to be used for, but I think it's just going to be less essential. Same with Justice Points.
Yeah.
Going back to the buff though,
Right.
obviously a lot of people are.
We want Valor now.
Yeah, well, that's it. People are obviously very miffed that the cap doesn't increase with it. But there was a comment here in the actual World of Warcraft forums, and let me just find it because I lost it. Oh, great! There's 34 matches. Let's find it. Here we go. Jedian posted 2 days ago, and he said the buff is intended for the people that only play on the weekend. Definitely not the people who are already capped. People need to leave their little bubble and realise that not everyone can play for 6 hours per day, and therefore are stuck on this part of the legendary quest line for more than 3 weeks. So the buff is for them, not for you. It was aimed at someone saying, "Can't I just get 3k in like 20 minutes or something like that?"
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense too. Because there's plenty of weekend players. Yeah, because most people have good jobs where they are working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 sort of a thing. Don't have time to raid. They've got families, some stuff. Whatever the example may be. Responsibilities. Me. I like to play a good 20 hours out of my day. 4 hours spent for work. No.
Sleep isn't an option.
Sleep is no. Who sleeps?
Yeah, sleep is for humans.
You sleep during queue time.
Right.
And maintenance.
Yes.
That's it.
Maintenance once a week is when I get my sleep. But no, I mean that is more of the average. People, the mean player, average, mean, median, whatever. They have more time on the weekend, so it makes more sense that they'll just open it up for a weekend. But I would also like to see, the gays come back. I'd like to get a 4th cape myself.
I'd like to get one at some point.
Same. I mean, regardless of what I said, it doesn't change the fact that this buff is only going to be around for a little while. So, despite Jedian's good point, which I do agree with, those people who can only raid the weekend are going to be facing the same problem they always were next weekend. So unless these are permanent things, unless you make the buff permanent, or you do increase the cap permanently, or at least temporarily to warlords, it doesn't help anyone. All you do is you tease them, and I think that's pretty patronising.
And we had this conversation, was it last week or the week before? We talked about how kind of useless the buff really is if you're at that certain point in the legendary quest. If you only have it for so long, you're not really going to progress. Really, you're just going to keep getting stuck. So come on, Blizzard, let's just keep having it up until you leave it up.
Fingers crossed.
Right, so moving on to a new segment that we're going to try and keep regular. Lore Lords of Draenor. Bum, bum, bum. In this little segment, we're going to talk about each one of the warlords of Draenor in detail, and this week we're going to start with Gul'dan. He is the father of all warlocks, bringer of demonic destruction onto Azeroth. Gul'dan.
A misunderstood chap.
Yes, very, very misunderstood. All he wants is for everybody to play with green fire with him, but nobody wants it. They like their orange fire, and he gets mad, makes everyone drink some blood, and chaos ensues.
Hilarity ensues. It's a comedy, really. Warlords is a comedy, like we said.
No, classic WoW is the comedy. All the angry orcs just, all on the demon blood. Work.
All the fake laughter everywhere, like the really bad sort of Big Bang Theory laughter. That'd be great.
Oh boy.
Well, what Gul'dan is most commonly known for is being the father of warlocks. That is his trade. He taught the warlocks. That big mountain that is in Shadowmoon Valley right now, that big volcano, that was all him getting very angry and raising his hands to the sky, and up comes the mountain.
As you do.
But he is also to blame, or to thank, for orcs being on Azeroth right now and being green That is all him. He's behind the Fell Blood. That is all him.
He was just tired of Brown.
He is a racist orc. He is a racist orc.
I just think of, for a while, how everyone got mad at all the shooter games because, it's just all brown and gray and boring. That's how he felt. He wanted some more color in his life.
Let's make everyone green. Yeah. He wanted them to be pink, but they came out green. Sorry. But no, from an early life, he was with Ner'zhul. He was kind of mentoring this young orc Ner'zhul, and if anybody is a lore buff, you know who Ner'zhul becomes. Dum, dum, dum. The original Lich King.
Yep. Yeah, and Gul'dan was talented in the shamanistic arts, and so became Ner'zhul's apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all went downhill.
Right. Yeah. But so Gul'dan's definitely he's on the cover of Warlords of Draenor. I can zoom in right here. He is. Whoops! I am pushing buttons wrong all over the place here. He is this guy right here, Gul'dan. He's on that cover. He's going to play a major role this time, but he's not going to be as bad as he was in the other universe. Keep in mind that this Draenor here, it isn't just past Draenor. It is alternate universe Draenor.
Yes.
That we are going to.
Yep, it is different. It is separate from what happened in our past Draenor.
So we're going to go there, and him and Ner'zhul are actually both going to be helping us out a little bit. As soon as we get to Tanan Jungle, I believe is where we actually meet up with them. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see, because apparently he has already drinking the Fell Blood.
Yeah. Because I was unaware, but on the WoW Wiki page, at the very top of the page for Gul'dan, it says the Blizzard description, and it talks about how he's one of only a handful of Fell Orcs. He did. His shamanic power has been twisted by demonic communion, and he leads the Storm Reaver clan, and they're trying to find their rightful place in the Iron Horde. And I was unaware that there would be Fell Orcs, and it just says it's a Blizzard description, but I don't know from where. So
it's interesting, a little bit more history on Gul'dan. He was in the First War. He was working with Medivh. Medivh's normally a good guy, but he was possessed by Sargeras at the time. So, those two, they've been, Gul'dan has been around for such a long time, and he's a big part of WoW lore, and that's why I'm so excited to actually have him be a part of gameplay, not just stories or if you played Warcraft 1, of course, or 2.
Yeah.
He was involved as well, but I'm so excited to see all these iconic characters. Me as a lore buff, I'm very excited. And Gul'dan.
Yeah, I'm not going to trust him at all.
Right, definitely should.
Because the whole thing is the fact that he's been really selfish. He was always looking out for himself and trying to gain power, thus why, when Ner'zhul found out he was being duped by the Burning Legion, and he was like, oh, this isn't good. I've been leading the orcs down the wrong path. And Gul'dan's like, I just get rid of him. I know what's going on too, and I'll go with it anyways, as long as you give me power.
And we know that Gul'dan has good ties with Blackhand, but Blackhand is definitely our enemy. But so, at least...
Blackhand's like...
I mean, we know at least in our current version of, this timeline, he was allies with Blackhand. So, we could see some betrayal for us or for Blackhand in this alternate universe. Will he still be working secretly with Blackhand? Because we know Blackhand is one of our enemies.
Staying on our side. I see us fighting him. I don't...
personally...
People want to fight him.
I can see... what's it? Deathwing's son, I always forget his name. Black Prince...
Rathian,
yes.
Oh, Rathian, sorry.
Yes, Rathian and Gul'dan. Because, Rathian has been calling for the Legion to be coming, for so long. And, the bringer of the Legion, Gul'dan.
Yeah.
I could see a team up there. Final boss, Gul'dan mixed with Rathian. Super Dragon Demon.
Oh, boy.
Well, just to add a sort of whole bucket of speculation in there, also, people may or may not remember that Gul'dan is actually partly responsible for the creation of the Death Knights.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And we know, or at least we can speculate, Terran Gorefiend, who was the first ever Death Knight, will be in the alternate Draenor because there's a drop. There's a boss drop which is his blood.
Right.
So
And that's actually a
it.
legendary item as well.
It's a legendary item, and so the prediction I'm making is that we'll be fighting Death Knights, or the original Death Knights, which, according to lore at least, were much more badass than the current Death Knights. Not to say current Death Knights are weak, but the original Death Knights pretty much almost won the war on their own, according to the stories that I've come across.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Who knows?
But Death Knights for everyone.
Do you think we will see Medivh in this game come and beat Gul'dan again? Like, just kind of a retelling of the story? Because I haven't heard anything if Medivh is going to be in this expansion or not. We know he's in the movie. we have seen the pictures of Medivh in costume. But will he be in this game?
That is a question.
I think if he is, he'll be some sort of character like how he was in Warcraft 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be cool if Medivh visits the player, but outside of everything else, it's more of a secret sort of. He flies down, tells you what's going to happen, you do something, and then it never gets anything bigger than that. Yeah. I think that would be cool.
Rathian's going to betray you. He's got Anduin on his side, and Anduin and Rathian are going to take over the world. What?
Anduin. And then the two factions merge. You think, oh god, it's happening.
Yeah, that's a little bit on Gul'dan. Personally, he's one of my favorite ones out there, but just because I like warlocks, they are interesting, and he's their father, and he's like one of the best decks in Hearthstone. So
he is.
I still think he's just a jerk.
He is. He is definitely a jerk. Maybe if we can just go and tell him, we fought a guy who was holding your skull. How does that make you feel?
That'd be hilarious.
It would just. I think that it would implode. Surely, it would just have to implode. But we said this the other week, didn't we? Maybe that's. What does that say about items? Because obviously you don't want to take a second skull of Gul'dan back through the portal or anything.
Right,
like
if
that.
you're just here, look at it. This is your head.
It's screwed up Illidan enough, so
yeah.
I don't think it would help if we lose this. So saying that, again, speculation on my part.
So
but,
Gul'dan grows wings while holding his own skull and goes crazy.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
And
he's going to say,
expansion.
I was not prepared
for this exam. No, that's it will be good. But as you say, we meet him very, very early on, on the sort of the siege of. I call it the siege of the Dark Portal. It's not called that, but
he will already be fell. He will already be demonic in his way. So possibly still a warlock. Hopefully still a warlock because he's not really interesting.
That's what it looks like on the image. So
the Burning Legion is connected somehow. So it's not going to be a totally Burning Legion free expansion.
But yeah,
which would be a cheap one anyways.
As far as we know, though, he is on our side to start with. So it'll be interesting.
To start with.
It's not going to stay that way. Of course it's not.
No, it can't. It can't. I'll find a way to break the game just because I want to punch him.
Are we honestly going to go holding hands, skipping back through the Dark Portal? I can't see that ever happening. All the warlords unite and we'll just skip around.
Well, ultimately, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to get Medivh or Khadgar, the other super mage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to have to get one of them involved to close the Dark Portal and close off this timeline. Because we're not going to go... I'm pretty sure we're not going to go back to another Azeroth. We're going to want to get back to our Azeroth and just close off what's happening. So you can see that being a part of the storyline. Hopefully Gul'dan won't try and stop that, but he probably will.
Yeah.
But, another bit of speculation. Gul'dan could sneak in with us back to our Azeroth.
And then he tries to make the Fel Horde.
And he... more like he brings the Legion back, like Rathian has been speculating. I can see that being...
And it's all his fault.
Yes. It's all Anduin's fault.
Freaking Gul'dan.
It is interesting, though, because effectively he's unique amongst his sort of among the orcs in Draenor, but he's about to be joined by a whole lot of people who look just like him.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder. When people were speculating before the beta and the alpha, they were wondering how are orcs going to integrate themselves into, the new current orcs and Draenor. So it does beg the question. Personally, I think it's going to go a bit all up in the air once the warlords are stabilised. A lot of people are saying that it's going to become something involving the Infinite Dragonflight or something around the time
Right.
waves.
I mean, because we know that
battle.
Karos, I only know the abbreviation for his name. Karos is an enemy at this point because he helped Garrosh. He made the portal for Garrosh to get to this alternate universe. So we know that the Infinite Dragonflight, at least him, is an enemy. We could see Norsdamu. That's his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He could come back and try and have a big conflict there. Maybe Karos is the final boss. I don't know. I've had so many speculation ideas on what the final patch of this tier is going to be, and we're not used to it since Blizzard just straight up said Garrosh is the final boss of Mr. Pandaria. Everyone knew that was coming.
Just going, okay, how are we gonna get there?
Right. But now we're just totally going blind and so much speculation. I'm just excited to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and we don't have a big baddie like we've had two previously. Like we had Garrosh, Lich King, Deathwing, Illidan. So we've always known what we were heading towards.
Maybe that might be the end. Maybe at the end all the Dragonflight return and then Deathwing turns out for Phase 4. Just goes Cataclysm again.
No, they all merge. They all merge into a giant dragon of all the aspects.
Oh. No, Sargeras is coming.
Yeah. No, if we're bringing that in, we need another Burning Legion focused expansion, which I want bad.
And supposedly, lore has spoken that we could not possibly face off against Sargeras without the help of the Titans. It would just be an impossible fight.
But as a sort of final point, I think it says something that all this speculation, that if anything, it suggests that however this expansion pans out, unfortunately there are going to be some circumstances where people are going to feel, they should have done this or they should have done that. I mean, that's natural. Obviously, it's going to happen. But there's a lot of people have talked about the speculation so much that they've come up with some incredibly conceivable plot lines that just clearly are not going to be addressed. Blizzard can't address them all. So I think that if anything, the way they've approached this, as opposed to sort of giving a sort of finite ending, as it were, when they announced Garrosh Pandaria, is they've left it almost too open. I'd say, it's great that we're going in blind and we'll discover it, but it's going to leave a lot of people, I think, saying, I wish they'd done that a little bit better.
Maybe,
and that's what I worry. That's what I worry, is that there's just some things that, especially considering we're using an alternate timeline, and I think if you've got that option narratively to play with, you should just go all out. Just go all out.
I think we could possibly actually see some deaths too along in this storyline. Some deaths of major characters. Like we could possibly see Thrall kick the bucket finally. Maybe, I don't know.
That would be big.
That would be. Like I think that's what it needs though. Like the storyline has yet to have a big punch to keep the storyline interesting, and I think we could definitely see that actually happen. A major character die.
Just to very briefly cover that. Remember, the first Dark Portal, people were left behind, so maybe people have to be left behind in this alternate one.
Right, like Thorelian was his name, and Illyria.
Illyria,
Windrunner's sister and brother.
Yes.
Yeah, and then is it Stromgarde? No, it's not Stromgarde. It's Trollbane. Isn't it Trollbane?
Right.
I can't remember.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of went on a rant there about lore for sure, but it's always an interesting topic, some speculation. And you got to keep in mind also that Blizzard has said that they have the storyline down for the next expansion after Warlords, so it's most likely going to tie in, obviously, with what's coming next.
They know where it's going.
Yeah. WoW will never die until they
on a lore side note, sorry, Zul, the instance I think you were looking for earlier was Black Fathom Deep.
There it is. Yes, Black.
Yep. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
So that's a mystery solved.
Thank you so much. Glad we remembered that. All right. Moving on. Anybody else have anything to say regarding Gul'dan?
No, I think we're in dangerous territory now.
All right. So, moving on. We've gotten a list of the achievements for Ashran. And this pretty much kind of confirms what we were talking about with Ashran last week. And I'll just pull this up on the screen here for you guys to see. We got like Ashran victory, kill the opposing faction commander while controlling all points on the Road of Glory. The Road of Glory is actually brought up in almost all of these achievements. Bounty Hunter, loot all the following Alliance player corpses. Tour of Duty, compete each of the events in the following areas. So it kind of seems like Timeless Isle meets Alterac Valley. What I'm seeing here, I'm not quite sure what this the Road of Glory. You have this achievement: defeat all the Horde captains within the Road of Glory. Loot this many items within the Road of Glory.
I just presume, obviously the way it's been discussed is it's very much sort of an AV revamp, Alterac Valley revamp, and this sort of structure, this idea of this Road of Glory going between the bases, which I can only presume is obviously that line straight in the middle. I'm trying to find a map right now, but the way they've got it set up, oh, here it is, that's a basic one, but I think that Road of Glory must be the central one, and then there's sort of almost like world events that happen to the left and the right, like we were talking last week's show. So, but considering there's so much, I mean, one of those is kill 5,000 players on the road of, that is an incredible amount of players.
Right.
So considering this is something that's not instance limited, but it's open world, which means you're limited by the number of players that are actually deciding to turn up. So,
well, and
I think
obviously those achievements are also, supposed to take time. You're not going to be able to just first week of what I killed 5,000 players.
Of course.
Right? Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. I did have the map pulled up here. You can see. I'm pretty sure it is this central road here going down the middle. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting mechanics. Like, they have talked about the fact, and I mentioned this last week, that there are going to be NPCs constantly fighting along the main road here. So that could be incentive for you to just be charging up the middle to fight all these NPCs / players, and then objectives be, either to the left to this, like, fiery lava pit we see over here, or up to the right to this, like, mountainous giant skeleton area over here. But, I have no idea where all these Horde or Alliance bosses are going to be at, though.
Yeah.
And, we had a huge discussion on Ashran last week, and Jake, you weren't here for that. So I'd like to hear what you think about Ashran in particular.
Well, I've never been too much into the PvP in WoW. But Ashran keeps looking more and more interesting. I like that it's, there's a lot to do. There's the, you're getting loot from enemy players, like, the materials.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, which one is it? Operation Counterattack. Defeat Fangirl within 5 minutes of it being summoned by the Alliance. So, summoning things that help you fight, like there's a lot more going on than just, fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that, and that makes it more interesting to me. And I mean, I'll be checking it out. Who knows if it'll keep my interest or not, because as I said, I've never really gotten too much into PvP in WoW, but I really like what they're at least trying to do there, make it a lot more interesting.
What about you, Patrick? In particular, what do you think is going to be the sort of end results of these sort of, not only these achievements, because obviously back in the old PvP style achievements you did get upgrades, and I remember there was also one for open world PvP if you killed all the faction leaders, so that they might obviously be revisiting the idea of content and loot and perhaps even gear, hopefully, for these achievements. But what do you think is going to be the end result, perhaps in terms of gameplay mechanics and generally?
I think it's going to open up playability for the game in general. Like, because me personally, I've always used PvP. It's never been my main focus because I'm PvE primarily. But then once I'm cleared through the content or I'm not raiding as often, that's when I go into getting my arena gear, trying to get a good rating in arenas and doing battlegrounds, stuff like that. And so in the meantime, though, there's never been much to do besides just randomly queue for battlegrounds. But now you have this, it's kind of like a timeless isle type of thing. There's something constantly happening. So for people who either haven't really played around with PvP much at all, or they're hardcore PvPers and feel like they don't have much to do, I think this is going to be great. It's adding just a lot of stuff that's going to take time for you to invest in to earn these achievements. And it's going to be really interesting. Keep the game active for PvPers. Mainly, like the Timeless Isle is done for PvEers.
What about you, Zul? What do you think is going to be... I mean, what do you think is going to... We talked last week about what's going to be the drawing point, Patrick, in terms of getting people to come back to this island. Not only the fact that the
faction hubs are there.
The faction hubs are going to be there, but in terms of what's going to make you want to step outside in PvP as opposed to join a queue for a flex or something like that, or go explore something. What's going to be the real draw of this, do you think?
Well, for me, it's going to be, since they have so many, it seems like they're trying to make events go on. Like you said, the Timeless Isle, you have different things popping up every now and then. They need to have a system in place, I think, to broadcast when something happens. Like, Fangirl has just been summoned by the Alliance, and then people be like, oh, well, okay, let's go do that. Let's go take him out. Because, like, on the Timeless Isle, people that have, like, add-ons that they automatically announce rares, I think that should just plain be built in. For Ashran, it makes sense why that would be built in, because, like, your leaders out there would be like, oh, this is happening, come help,
Maybe not necessarily for all of Draenor, you have to have the exploration finding the rares, but for Ashran,
Ashran,
this guy's been summoned, the Alliance are coming.
That would get me out there all the time. If I was in my faction hub, doing whatever, I needed to be doing, and that got announced, I'd be like, well, I was just going to go do whatever and, kick around, but I'm going to go, stuff is going on out there, let's go check it out.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting a feel
that would pull me in all the time.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting a feel like from Heroes of the Storm almost onto this massive battleground, if you will, because there's all these things that you can kill or summon or recruit, and then they'll go and charge the enemy base, and that's kind of like what I'm feeling here. If you summon this thing or recruit these mercenaries, and then they'll just rush towards the enemy base. It kind of feels like a big WoW-scaled MOBA when you actually look at it.
Yeah, that's what I feel, especially with all the talk of the Road of Glory. Do this on the road, and there's the NPCs. It's a lane.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Blake.
Like how I talked about last week with Defender of the Alehouse Battleground. This could just be their solution. This is a big objective-based battleground, pretty much.
But with that in mind, obviously, with MOBAs in general, they have a sort of a structure where you can effectively say you're online at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you notice there's 17 Alliance players, just sitting around doing nothing, and 3 Hordes. Obviously, hopefully there's a mechanic in place where there could be some level of competitive edge between them. I mean, this is the thing I'm slightly concerned by it. I think naturally there will be enough players because the faction hubs are now there. They're starting to see how it's going, but I think the problem is there a limit to how many players can be on that island at once in terms of cross-realm? Because Alliance could outnumber massively, or vice versa.
Because from my understanding is it's going to be an active phasing technology, not just kind of like cross-realm, but it's going to be an active phasing that keeps the population balanced between Horde and Alliance. That's what they've really been trying to work with, getting that set up for it. So
that will solve it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm
happy.
But I can still see probably like situations where it is like 4 a.m. or something like that, and you just there's an influx of this faction over the other one, and I can still see that happening probably.
What would be cool is, I mean, I don't know what all goes into summoning those big things, but say that, like, it's like 4 a.m, you're playing Horde, you go out there, there's no other Horde people, but there's like a group of Alliance. But since you're just one person, you're kind of sneaking around, hoping they don't see you, and you summon the giant thing without them noticing.
I
Like,
wonder.
that would be really freaking cool to think I did that.
Yeah.
I summoned the thing that went and wiped that group out.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and you know, I wonder if this is like a raid boss, like Fengirl. Like, you think he's gonna have like kind of like world boss health, kind of a thing?
I hope so. I think it'd be really cool to be mixing the PvE with the PvP like that.
And that'd be awesome if he's not, like he'll actually be on the Horde side, like won't attack Horde players if the Horde players summon him, so the Horde can be there baiting on the Alliance players while they're trying to kill Fangirl. That'll be pretty interesting.
Is it an
Yeah, well, it looks like Fangirl, is summoned by the Alliance, and in the article before it lists the achievements, it talks about it. It says, let's see here. I'm wondering if there's a Horde equivalent to Fangirl, because they haven't announced anything yet. There isn't an equivalent achievement saying defeat this within so many minutes being summoned by the Horde.
Oh, there has to be. That'd be very unfair.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it says that one hasn't been data mined yet. And they give a couple possibilities for what it could be.
Though, is it an either-or mechanic? Is it a case of there's, say, one summoning area and it's whoever summons with their first? Or could you, say, get Fangirl fighting the Horde's equivalent and all the players are at their feet just trying to literally nuke each other and try... I mean, that would be incredible.
Well,
that would be interesting. Two bosses fighting each other. Yeah, that...
Two bosses fight each other and, say, 40, 50 players on each faction just going at each other. And
then randomly getting cut down by the boss AoE.
And see, this is why I'm so excited, because we have all these details, and we have yet to actually see it. So I'm very excited to even just see other people play it in the beta, just because it sounds awesome. All these ideas, it's so new, so refreshing to PvP.
Yeah,
and how it's been in the past. So I'm so excited.
I really doubt I'll get into battlegrounds or arenas or anything, but Ashran, I very possibly could. It might be the only PvP I do, but that would be cool.
Also, sorry, one thing to throw out there. I came across this idea, and I thought about it myself as an option. We talked last show, and I don't want to bring this up too much about the alliance, the faction hubs being where they are, because kind of past that. But people have talked about the architecture of the islands and the bases in general. What about if, as the expansion went on post, say, final tier content, what about if improved PvP performance from each faction across all realms helped develop that architecture? So as you PvP more, your faction's buildings get bigger, stronger, the bases extend further into sort of the ocean behind the islands and things like that.
Or as your team builds siege equipment, you can destroy the other faction.
Exactly, or something like that. Maybe it's an in sort of game experience. So
it'd be interesting, but they already said that the faction hubs are definitely separate from the Ashran PvP. So
yeah,
I don't know.
They probably won't happen. It'd be cool if it did.
Yeah.
Like many things in WoW.
If you could just, pull like a... What am I trying to think here? What's the floating... Dalaran. Pull a Dalaran and move your garrison over the island and land it right in the middle of Ashran.
Like Battlefield 2142 Titans, wasn't it?
Yeah. Your garrison.
Firing missiles into the sky.
I'm here, guys.
Oh man.
Alright, so moving on from Ashran achievements. Random quest item upgrades in
yes.
of Draenor?
Do you want me to?
Yeah,
Tom, why don't you lead the charge on this one here?
Basically, very quickly, we won't talk about this for too long, but because it's not necessarily new news, but one of the things that is a massive feature of Warlords is that item upgrades, you get standard, as a base level, you get green gear, pretty much, for item rewards for quests. However, there's a feature now built in where there's a chance, a very small chance, for that gear to become, just on completing the quest, you don't have to do anything, it's totally randomized. You may be lucky enough when you hand in a quest for that gear to become rare quality, or even epic on even rarer occasions.
Mm-hmm.
So they have an example here about one quest item, the Carabot Honor guard leg guards, which usually green, and this particular writer managed to get the epic version, which is a small stat increase across the board, but on the sort of the item squish basis, that's actually quite a lot. But I just wanted to ask you guys what you thought about the idea that people are going to have access to rare and epic gear just through standard progression.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. It gives incentive because a lot of people skip questing altogether. They'll just dungeon their way up or whatever. I think it gives incentive, again, to go out into the world and do stuff. You can
I'm going to be like, well, I need to do this side quest because what if I get the epic version?
Right. But at the same time, it is such a rare opportunity that they're not making it mandatory, because then you could potentially be farming random quests for a long time to get one upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just gives, it's a cool little bonus to questing. Like, oh, cool, I have this now. Good for me.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I think for so long it's almost become ingrained that people have always searched out epic gear, and that was the huge push for LFR and raiding in general was that was how I got epic gear. And I think 100% what you've just said there, Patrick, was it just gives you an incentive just to keep hitting the quest and not to try and just battle pet your way or some other sort of
battle pet my way to 90 or 100
exactly, or do what that Pandaren did and just pick herbs on the starting location.
Right.
There's a reason to get off the island now and actually start exploring. But I thought it's such a unique a way to do it, because also it's not based on money where you have to buy the gear from the auction house or anything like that. It's totally randomized. So in a sense, it just rewards gameplay, and it just seems like such a really nice notion. It's not unfair in any way. Some people might say it's unfair because they haven't got any, but the point being is it just refreshes it. And I thought I'd just spend a little time talking about it, because to me, I'm clearly not going to get any of it. My luck on WoW is horrendous, so I'm going to be in green gear all the way.
Yours actually downgrades to white.
one copper sell item. It won't even let me sell it. But no, I'm really, really impressed with it. But it makes me it makes me wonder what the just out of curiosity, what the rate is going to be like. Because once we start seeing gameplay, people will be able to work out, you'll be able to look on Wowhead or something like that, what the actual drop rate is for the epics and the rares.
They'll probably even find, like, this quest seems to be giving epics more often.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
But at the same time, it's probably not going to be on repeatable quests like daily quests. It's probably going to be like a one-time opportunity. You could get it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool because it's just going to be one little thing as you run back in and turn in your quest, instead of just turn in. Every time it's going to be like, maybe, okay, maybe not, maybe, oh, that's cool, that one was a rare,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just going to be clicking through, just turn in, just over and over and over.
That's it.
All right.
That's it. Epics for everyone.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, so moving on from that, we are going to discuss a little bit WoW's subscriber numbers. It's not all as doom and gloom as some people may put it out to be, but we have a nice little chart here displaying really what has happened since the first quarter of 2005 up until quarter one of 2014. As you can see here, it's a steady climb up to the point of 2010 Wrath's peak, or right when Cataclysm actually launched, quarter four of 2010. We had 12 million people playing World of Warcraft. 12 million.
That's insane.
That is a lot of people, and it has been a steady drop, ever since then, except for quarter three in 2012 when Mist came out. We had a little increase back up to 10 million, but we've had a steady drop ever since then, where we are resting.
It looks like it's kind of evening off now.
Yep, evening off around 7 million. We're at 7.6 the last time the quarter. We're going to be ending quarter two here in a month? I'm trying to remember or we're in quarter three right now. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Right. We'll get quarter two.
We're about to finish. Quarter two will be announced soon.
Right.
And we're in quarter
three right now. Right. So we'll get quarter two here soon. But I'm gonna assume it hasn't dropped off too much more. Maybe it has. Um, but I
If
mean,
anything, it's gone up
yeah,
with the boost to 90s, I imagine.
yeah. I mean, you can actually see that little influx there around quarter 3 of last year when Warlords was announced at BlizzCon. It was kind of up from 7.6 to 7.8. Kind of went back down again with the how long Siege of Orgrimmar has been out. It's kind of expected at this point to see a drop in users. But what do you guys think? Do you think we will see a big increase for Draenor? Or do you think we'll ever reach those high numbers again?
I think it's possible, but it would have to be like some expansion that, for whatever reason, just holy crap, this is what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, it will go up with Warlords. I mean, it always goes up with every expansion. I mean, because you have people probably that have pre-purchased Warlords that don't have active subs right now, which means they're probably going to come back when that game releases. They already bought.
Yep, that is true. That is true. What do you think, Tom?
Well, I won't steal your point. You said before the show that it's. I think we're ruling out it ever getting to its glory days ever again. I think. Go on. Sorry, you were gonna say.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I think 12 million's pretty unlikely to see that again.
Yeah, that's gonna be what 4.5 million increase. It's. I think it's unfeasible now. I think, in terms of WoW's sort of population, I think ideally they'd like to just go, if possible, get above 8, and sort of just sit there comfortably until the next expansion. That would be their idea. I don't know how it's going to obviously play out through Warlords. It depends on content and obviously new features they bring in and things like that. But I think it's interesting to note that when we had that massive drop from 10.2 to 9.1 in the middle of 2012, what was going on then? Was that chatter?
Yes.
The beginning of...
That was after... what was that final... where you killed Deathwing. What was that raid?
With Dragon Soul.
Dragon Soul.
Ruby Sanctum.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Dragon Soul had been out for a significantly long time at this point, and a lot of people did not like that raid to begin with because, as you know, it was rehashed content from like the past few expansions. So, people weren't enjoying that too much. It was really boring, and I think we're seeing the same thing right now too. Siege of Orgrimmar was a great raid. It was a really cool instance, but again, it's been out for a year now. It has been a year since we saw patch 5.4.
Well, taking the end of Q3, or say Q4, the end of 2012, when Pandaria had been released and been out for a little bit of time, we're looking around sort of the 10 or 9.6 million.
Yep.
And it dropped rather suddenly afterwards to 8.3 at the beginning of 2013, and then it sort of managed to pull off its descent a little bit, and it's literally sort of bounced and narrowed out, as Zul pointed out. And I think it's I think this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't want to make it bigger than what it is. Obviously, I'm not going to try and make this a huge thing, but I think this is probably one of the points which is going to very much underline the make or break of World of Warcraft going ahead from now, because they're revamping the game. There's so many changes being brought about. I think if they can't get an incline, if they can't start increasing numbers, then it's going to be the beginning of the descent.
Well, you have to think though, because a lot of people they'll see these little decreases and they'll think, "Oh, Warcraft is ending." But
exactly.
when you look at an MMO, for it to be successful, a lot of the successful MMOs right now are under 1 million, and they still consider themselves successful.
Has any other MMO ever hit 1 million subscribers?
I think Star Wars did. When it first came out, SWTOR had about 1 million, and then it went back under.
Because I mean, World of Warcraft has more subscribers than like the next 4 MMOs combined.
I don't know what WildStar's at right now. I haven't seen a report for that, but I've heard it's actually doing pretty well. But it's still not in the million markers. So they consider themselves successful.
Warcraft could lose 90% of its subscribers and still have more subscribers than any other MMO.
So
and that's the thing to be.
It is not doom and gloom. A 10-year-old. When you think of it this way, a 10-year-old game still has 7.6 million people actively playing it. That's pretty good for a 10-year-old game.
What other games came out in 2004?
Eve?
City of Heroes, which is closed down.
Guild Wars.
It makes me really sad.
The original
that was
Guild
my
Wars.
first MMO.
The original Guild Wars was my first
EverQuest 2. EverQuest 2 came out that year.
Surprisingly, ArenaNet has the Guild Wars 1 servers still up. I was actually on there the other day.
yeah, it's still up and going. I mean, because you could technically still go in there and get some stuff, and then
you can solo that entire game now. You
unlock things in Guild Wars 2 based on your Guild Wars 1 achievements.
Yep.
So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can entirely solo every instance in Guild Wars 1 at this point because you can have your followers. But yeah, anyway, talking about Guild Wars.
But you are 100% right. I mean, my point, I'm definitely not saying we're going to just crash, everyone bail now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should be saying that on episode 3 of a WoW podcast either. It's all going to end.
I mean, it's like Halo 2 came out in 2004, and maybe I think 2 or 3 years ago they turned off the servers for that multiplayer.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the anniversary's coming out, Halo 2 is another example of an online game that is 10 years old.
I mean, and if you look at that chart that you shared,
mm-hmm.
it continuously grew for the first 6 years
mm-hmm.
when it was out.
And that's also huge.
Most MMOs that come out now, they're already declining within the first year.
Mm-hmm. Poor Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
So, obviously as well, it's worth bearing in mind in terms of WoW's sticking power. A lot of people do look at these numbers and say, "Oh, it's going to fall, it's going to fall." But WoW has been incredibly resilient in evolving its gameplay. Do you remember? If you look at how vanilla was, it was a game you had to invest hours in. You had to have a structure. You had to time everything. So you went right. I'm raiding with this guild at this time. Now everything is don't mean to use the buzzword, but everything is so flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, you could jump in and within 5 minutes be doing end tier raiding at some level. And OQ has made higher tier content more accessible. Questing easy and straightforward to follow. This game is something you can play for.
It has evolved so much.
Exactly, and everyone can get their money's worth now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the problem with vanilla. People were trying to find their value in the game, but now you can get that.
And that's a huge thing in Warlords too. Is that everyone will have something to do. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but every time I see footage of people in their garrison, I get more and more excited just because that idea alone of the garrison is so bad. Exciting to me.
Well, because honestly, one of the things, we brought up Star Wars briefly. I loved the fact that I could send my companions on little missions and, gathering and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. And now we can do that with our garrison followers, but times a million, because we can send them on dungeons and raids or gathering. It's so cool. I love things like that.
And the little details that they have upped the AI. They're not just on a set path. If they see you walking, they'll stop and wave, or they'll get out of your way, or
can we make them do different things? We train them to bow instead of wave.
There's a hat that you can get. I saw it's a vanity item that if you're wearing it, your followers in your garrison will follow you around in a conga line.
That is amazing.
You can tell though what's going to happen is when anyone goes to unsubscribe from WoW, a little picture with everyone's followers will come up and go, "So I guess you just want to make them unemployed."
You're just abandoning us?
Yeah.
We're gonna die.
Who's going to feed us? And then you see the Burning Legion creeping up on them.
Who's gonna protect us from
endangerment? If you do it during Children's Week as well, you just have lots of sad orphans just sitting there in front of you.
Work? More work? Work complete.
I won't be able to feed my kids. They're going to make you fall in love with your followers and then use them against you.
Yes. Your followers will have children. You can have children with your followers and have your kid. Too much.
We'll go all Fable on this.
The kids come up to you. Sorry, go on, Zul.
I was just saying it'll be like in Fable where you could get married and have kids.
If they could incorporate that into Warcraft, my life would be complete.
And it's when the kids come up to you and say, "Listen, I need 10 gold for this. Can I borrow it?" And suddenly your bank just explodes because you're like, "I can't afford anything now."
Oh man!
And now she's left me, and I've got to pay protection, not protection. Sorry,
child
protection
support.
for
Yeah.
kids. Child support. That's great. Having a word day, but God, that got very domesticated all of a sudden.
You're out questing, and like some courier runs up.
Child
Are
support
you
bill for you.
so-and-so? Are you so-and-so? No, like they run up, they're trying to get you to say your name. Yes, you've just been served. What? You're being divorced. Oh.
And you lose half your epic gear. Your heroic gear just disappears.
Half of your garrison is like divided off now.
Oh God.
We've brought Sims into Warcraft.
I like where this conversation
And I would be
went.
okay with that.
We went a bit off topic there. But yeah. I don't think WoW's in any danger of dying just yet.
No.
It's 10 years old and it's still going strong, I think. And I think we will actually see a bit of an increase in subs for Draenor because people will love it.
Yep.
I think
Updated models, garrisons. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah. So we've got a few closing things, little things to talk about. Like the first thing here we noticed was finally we're seeing what the Dark Portal looks like in Draenor. You can see its lovely picture right here, nice and red, evil looking. And from what I understand, we'll see the same thing on the opposite side in the Burning Plains. What is that zone called? Blasted Lands. Blasted Lands, yep. We'll probably see the same thing happen. I think it'll be kind of like the same thing that happened for the launch of the Burning Crusade. We'll all be waiting around, waiting for it to change colors, Everyone will just be standing there.
What does the Warlords login title screen look like?
Have yet to see
I don't
that.
think I've looked at pictures.
We
of it.
have not seen that yet.
I want it to be the exact same as the Burning Crusades, but just red.
That would be cool.
Just the exact same, totally bring back that nostalgia.
Yeah. That would be cool.
The Warlords of Draenor. I think there's a lot of speculative ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the music is amazing. That's what other podcasters that are in the beta keep saying.
You can and you can preview a lot of the zone music, and it's fantastic. I mean, it always has been. I loved Mists of Pandaria's soundtrack too.
Yes.
They did a great job of capturing WoW's essence as well as the Asian theme that it was going for. So this one will sound brutal, I guess. Heavy metal. just have Sam
metal.
from level 90 Torn Druid or whatever their band's
Yes.
called, and that's the thing.
I want that.
I am Murloc playing constantly.
They just have a big stage in front of the portal. They're just playing constantly. You can hear it throughout all of Draenor.
Yes.
We laugh about it. That could be a thing one day.
Yes.
Who knows?
I want a concert that they're just playing constantly.
Well, have you ever been to the Dark Moon Fair? They play there sometimes.
Awesome.
So another little closing thing here. They love making Death Knights look like horses, apparently, with their PvP gear. Here's a preview of Tier 16 Death Knight, or Season 16.
No, the bad
Tier
part
16.
is the spiked belt.
Is this PvP gear or is this tier gear?
This is at Season 16,
Season
right?
16, right. So this is the PvP gear. Again, it looks a lot like Season 14, where it was the horse head. It was very ugly. My main has been a Death Knight.
Just look at the side view of the spiked belt. It doesn't look okay.
Right, this is very inappropriate.
Yeah.
It shouldn't look like that.
I just noticed that.
What
Thank
do
you
you
for pointing that
why?
out to me. Oh, Blizzard, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Did no one notice that?
That is very...
Yeah, that doesn't look healthy.
Oh, that's inappropriate right there, Blizzard.
Yeah, it is.
But as well as that,
The
we can
Warlock
see...
face is creepy, though.
Yes, the Warlock PvP gear looks
Helm.
very old. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I think the model kind of looks old. Like something you'd see from, Burning Crusade.
Exactly. It looks very flat and just... Yeah, I agree with you.
There's no shoulders. There's no shoulders.
I like the helm, but the rest of it, yeah.
Actually, the shoulders are missing from the preview. There should be shoulders.
Okay.
But, they don't make that too clear. But still, regardless of the shoulders, I agree with you. I think it just looks, in terms of the gown and everything, it just looks a little bit
I mean,
flat.
we've got a preview of Hunter here as well, and again, it's clearly missing things because
Yeah, it says the helm, shoulders, and belt are missing from the hunter.
yeah.
So
But I
yeah,
The
guess
boots make it look like he has hooves.
right, yeah. So maybe they'll make the Hunter look like a frost wolf. I don't
maybe.
know.
But
It's
again,
interesting,
something
though.
about those knees.
Right.
Something about those knees.
Right. Other things, we've got some like a interesting new mount. Looks like one of the elephant-looking things. I never know what they're called because I do not play Draenei. But we
Yeah,
have
Alex.
Alex. Yeah,
Mm.
a new-looking Alec mount here. Very detailed. Very nice.
And they've also done the orc skeletons, which fuels my belief still that that we're going to see Death Knights and Scourge sort of appearing in.
If we had like a full skeletal model for Death Knights, that would be very cool. Like, but then again, that would just be undead. I mean, I don't know. Where do you cross?
We've done that. We've been there. We've done that. And then the next thing as well is the Corehound.
Right. Yeah. We talked.
Oh,
About
we touched on that. Sorry.
earlier, yeah. Obviously, there's a little bit showing the cinematics screen here. Obviously, there's plans for there to be a Warlords of Draenor cinematic, but it is all green right now. So,
That is it. That is it.
that is it.
Just,
It'll be green. So
green.
right. Maybe that has something to do with Gul'dan and his demons. I don't know.
That's him destroying the world.
Right. That's what the game is going to look like afterwards here. And we've got a bunch of new icons uncovered. But there's just kind of little armor looking things here.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's about it. As far as news this week, it's been kind of dry, but I believe we've covered everything, guys. Anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap it up?
Did we cover again? I don't want to talk about it too much, but did we mention the 3 other legendary drops?
Oh right, no, we did not. So it has been uncovered 3 more legendary item drops have been shown here. I've got a list of items, and you can see here a couple of them are legendary, like Heart of Fury or Flamebender's Tome.
And good luck with the next one.
Or
Draenic Thaumaturgical Orb.
Termigal.
Thaumaturgical Orb.
So we're in other words, we are seeing legendary items, but we have no idea what they pertain to. We know nothing about the legendary quest, but I think it's safe to say there's going to be a legendary quest in the first patch.
Yep.
It says it's interesting though, because the 695 is the level of those items,
but you can't even tell what kind of item it is. Where do you equip it? It's unique, binds when picked up, item level 695, but it's not really an equipable item.
It's a quest item,
right?
Something, but it makes you wonder. Obviously we can only speculate as to how these are dropping. I mean, the one from Terran Gorfin is pretty explainable, but where that's coming from. But the Heart of Fury, I mean, Fury's obviously it's probably got something to do with the warlords themselves, I'd imagine. So maybe
it's Nick Fury's heart.
Right. So the Avengers.
They're bringing in the Avengers.
That's who we've got to fight. Oh god.
I can picture it being like Black Hand or someone's heart that you have to loot off of him after killing him in the Blackrock Foundry, maybe. I don't know.
So a couple of the other interesting items, actually, well, just to sort of wrap it up, the personal rocket couriers and the pocket flying machine, they allow you to take the artifact tokens, which are the items you pick up on Ashran, and they're the ones that link to the achievements, and they allow you to send them to your base. So maybe, I forgive me if I'm being stupid and missing. Maybe this was announced in the beginning, but it's like a search and collect sort of structure, like as we said AV was, where you get items and resources, and instead of having to carry them back, you can use these items to say, right, ding, we've got that, we've got enough resources, let's get this out into the field.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see how they're sort of really sort of speeding up some of the PvP content, hopefully. So it's not an epic run every time.
Yeah. I do like that there is a miniature version now of the mech sky bot thing that I always forget the name of. It's called Skybo. A little mini version of that. No visuals, just an icon for it. But yeah, I think we've covered it, guys. Anything else in closing?
No.
All
Yeah, I think
right.
it's all good.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the show this week. My name is Tarley or Patrick, whichever. I don't care what you call me. But you can follow me at Twitter at Tarley_pause. That's with a Z at the end. And Jake, what's your contact info?
All right, and yeah, I'm Jake or Zul. Same. Don't care which one you call me by. I can be found on Twitter at ZulGeek. If you like to email, zulgeek@gmail.com.
And I'm just Tom.
He is Tom.
Yeah, I give. I'm going to get a new. I tell you what. I promise I will have a new gaming identity by next show because I can't just keep going as Tom. There's too many Toms in the world. But you can find me on Twitter at TC McIlroy, and of course we have our own Twitter and email, which I'll leave to you, Patrick.
Yep, at Geeks of Azeroth on Twitter, and it is Geeks of Azeroth EG at gmail.com. So hit us up if you have any news, any questions. We would love to have a viewer question segment on the show, so definitely feel free to send us questions. Otherwise, stay tuned next week for more Geeks of Azeroth.